Hello, folks. A lot has gone on in the last, 24 hours. I'm finally getting back to my grape cluster. And if you noticed, I've added just a few more grapes just to fatten it up a little bit more. And I added a stem just to give it a little bit more interest. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. And then I added my leaf outline that I painted using just a very small, thin liner brush. And one of the things about doing it with just a liner brush and some paint, you kind of draw it out. And if you don't like it, you could just add a little bit more to it like I've done right here. And so we'll paint that some green colors here in a minute. Let's go down to this last grape. Now I know without a doubt this project was a little challenging for beginners, and I totally get it. But it teaches you, if you hold on to the patience, it teaches you one at a time to look at it as, like, for instance, like if painting this particular grape right here, it is underneath 1, 2, beside this one, and kind of underneath this one. So you have to think about, all right, well, if all these are around this grape here, and I want to make it look fairly realistic, then that means there's going to be a shadow on this grape, from casting shadow from this grape here, casting shadow from this one, and from this one. So most of this small grape here is going to be dark. And then just to give it a little interest, you can put the light color, red light color grape. And again, for a reminder, we did a palette for the dark grapes. We did the dark purple, and then I added white to a little bit of dark purple. And then to give you the the red tint grapes, I took the purple, this dark purple, very little, and a whole lot of red, and made this dark, I do believe they call it magenta, but it's a dark reddish purple right here. And then after I mixed that color, I added a little bit over here and just put white with it. So it's the lighter of the red or lighter of the magenta color. I hope that makes sense. Then for the stem, I just used the regular brown, the same brown I used for the background. So it's whatever brown you've got. If you used it for the background, then might as well use it for the stem. But for it to kind of stand out a little bit, the dark area of the stem, there's a little dark area right through here. To make that brown darker, I just added a little bit of the dark purple. At this point, I really don't want to introduce any more different colors to my palette, except for the green that's going to be for the leaf. But what helps is, like I've said in other videos, is to try to mix what you've already got into a new color. So I took that dark purple and mixed it in with my regular green. This is the regular green right here. I mixed that dark purple with that regular green, which darkened that green. But again, this is going to complement all these other colors that I've used as far as the purples. Okay, that's of course where I was practicing my leaf. I'm not very good with grape leaves, so I have to practice a little bit. All right, so just to review, that we're going to do this grape right down here. And I think I'm going to go with the red grape. So it is sitting underneath this one and this one. So that means my area right through here needs to be dark, because these two are going to cast a shadow on this one. It is sitting on top of this one that's in the background. So that area here needs to be light. And I might as well go ahead and do this kind of a light area too. It won't have a strong reflection because it's further down, but it will need to be a light color. And of course it's on top of that one. So using the dark red purple or magenta and using a number 2 or number 3 round brush, grabbing that dark magenta, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to try to get as close as I can to be underneath those 2 grapes. And while it's still wet, wipe your brush, grab a little bit of the light magenta, cover up your dark lines where we drew it out. Probably I'll have to go over that again. The dark is showing up. Just outline that grape. If you got to make it a little bit bigger, it's not going to hurt a thing. Grab your little scruffy brush, and you're going to fill up your brush with a little bit of paint on the surface of the light color going toward the dark. Yeah, we'll have to go over it one more time because of that dark outline that's right here. So it covers up. So we'll let that dry for a minute and we'll add a little bit more. Let's touch just a little bit of white. Lighten that right there. Just tap it ever so slightly. Again, this is practice work. It just continually is practice work. Even when you're working up a project, let's say you're going to work up a Christmas gift for someone, you're practicing. I find it so much fun. Sometimes frustrating, to be honest, because I'm working it, and it's not looking the way it should or the way I think it should. So a lot of times I just have to step away for a little bit. Go do something else, go wash the dishes, let the dog out, go water the garden, and come back to it. I kind of get that feeling, the combination of, oh, I want to keep creating it. It's fun. And then I get irritated at myself sometimes because it's not working out. And then I just think, no, we're going to do this. So I make myself go sit down. I don't wait till the feeling is there, and we can address that too. I don't wait till I feel like painting. If there's a project that needs to be done, I make myself just go sit down and start working on it. Put some nice music on in the background, a good teaching, and then you just get lost in it. That's the only way I know how to describe it. And before you know it, it's working out beautifully. You're happy with it, and you move on with your day. Okay, I think that's pretty well dry. I'm going to take that light magenta, cover up that line one more time. I'm using the little liner brush at this point so I can get right on that edge. Using my number 2 or number 3 round brush, add a little bit more dark down underneath those 2 grapes. Because we have to have something to blend to. Add a little bit more magenta on here so you have something to blend. Take your small scruffy brush, dancing brush, fill it up in the light area, and tap towards the dark. Just little bitty taps because this is a small area. Using that number 2 or number 3 round, we're going to grab just a tad bit of white Let's say we'll add a little bit right there. Using your dancing brush, just tap it ever so slightly. Just break it up a little bit. Again, all these grapes are just kind of cloudy. See, that one's like a rainy day. You've got dark clouds and light clouds. Another thing that you can do to your grapes is to create that frosty, you know, those grapes get that frosty, powdery look, kind of. So water down your white paint a whole lot. And it's going to run into that dark purple, but that's okay. And taking your number 2 or 3 round brush, fill it up. And let's say we'll put a little frost on, this one right here. Now, watering down the paint, you won't lose that background color. And then take your dancing brush and just tap it around. And we'll get right to that edge. Rinse your brush off, tap a little bit more to break it up. Now you kind of got that frosty grape look. Let's do that again. Let's grab a little bit of that watered down white and let's put a little frost on this one. And you don't have to do this part. I'm just showing you where you can enhance something just a little bit more. Alright, using my little dancing brush. It's a damp brush with not a lot of water on it. And you're just going to just break that frost up ever so slightly. Rinse your brush. If you want to take a little bit off like I'm doing right now, rinse your brush, tap it a little bit more. That's what it's about. You get to play till you like it. And you won't, with it watered down, you won't lose your background color. Yeah. The light is giving me a little bit of a glare. There we go. Okay. Now, let's say you're at that point where you're looking at your grapes and you're thinking, okay, I'm all right with it, but some of these are running into each other. In other words, you don't really get to see where one starts and one stops. So what you would do with that is grab your liner brush and add a highlight to the edge of the one that's on top. So if this grape is on top of this one, I want to add a highlight to the side of it. So that makes this one come up and this one go back, and you can see the definition of the two. All right, let's do it. Let's do it right here. Even though I can barely see the edge of this one here, and I know where this one starts, we're gonna brighten this edge up all through here a little bit more. I might have to turn my work. We're gonna grab, since that's a purple grape, we're gonna grab the light purple color on a liner brush, and well, let's just work on this one right there. All I'm doing is just putting a little bit of a light color right at the edge. Using your liner brush works really well. Now, using your blending brush, you can do the same thing to this that you did with that white. You don't have to have anything to blend it to. Just tap your brush with a little bit of water on it and break it up. Now while that's there, I'm going to grab a smidge of white on my liner brush. Add it right at the edge. Using the blending brush, you're just going to tap that. And see, this made the grape stand out even more. Let me see here real close. All I need to do is get it right to that edge. Take your blending brush, dance it around a little bit. So it brought this one up and made that one go back a little bit further. It made that one go back. All right, let's do another one. This, I can see the definition of this one versus that one, but let's just add a little bit more of a lighter tint to this one right here. So using your liner brush, grab that light purple. And you can dance that around a little bit. You have nothing to blend to at this point. All you're doing is just add a little bit more highlight right there on that edge. But now that, while that's wet, using your liner brush, just tap the white paint, touch it right there. Using your blender brush, just tap. That just brings that one to look a little bit brighter. Plus, it's that same method where you're preparing that surface for a highlight. So if I wanted that to be highlighted, let's say it's catching the light a little bit more, grab just a little bit of white paint on your liner brush and just touch it. Now, personally, I don't like just little dots, so I am going to break that up just a little bit. Just a tapping. Trying to stay on the outside of where I put that white dot. Stay on the outside. Keep that center where that strong reflection is, and just tap and break it up. Now see, this one right here could use a nice little reflection. Rinsing all my brushes in my hand. So I am going to add a little bit more of that light magenta right through here. So grab the light, kind of a pinky color. I'm bringing it, since it's such a big grape, bringing it out a little bit more. Using your blending brush, and it's damp, you're just going to tap that out a little bit. You don't have to cover the whole grape. And again, we're looking kind of for, you know, that cloudy effect. Rinse your brush, it's still wet. By rinsing your brush at this point, you're taking away the paint. You're not adding any more to it. While it's still wet, I'm going to take my liner brush and just tap a little bit of white right there. Using my blending brush, we're going to tap that ever so slightly, working around the major part of that white paint. Now see, I can just leave that, and that's pretty cool. That's like it's really catching some light. But because I don't really have a lot of strong reflections on everything, I'm going to tap it down just a little bit. Just a little bit more. Well, it's really standing out, isn't it? Okay. We could play with the grapes all day, and you know, I love it. And if you haven't fallen in love with painting yet, you will. You just keep working it. And then Oh, I remember the day that I tried so hard. Back in the day, here you go, Lisa, another story. Back in the day, they used to do those, you could get a subscription to magazines, you know, when you had magazines come to your mailbox. And, you know, you look forward to some of those, you know, Better Homes and Garden and Life. Oh my gosh, I'm really telling my age now. Now, I never got a Life magazine, but my parents did. And I remember when it would come in the mail, and Mom would sit and drink her coffee and look at that magazine. And then when she got done, I looked at it. Anyway, but back in the day, oh, I want to say the 80s and the 90s were some great painting magazines. You could order subscription, and they would come to your house and every month. Oh my gosh! And they would have patterns in them and how-tos. Now some of those were great how-tos. I learned a lot from them, and practice sheets were in there as well. Beautiful paintings. Oh my gosh, beautiful, beautiful stuff. And I mean, they were so much fun. And when I would sit and work on something during a time that I didn't have to work outside the house, the kids were in high school, and I would just sit for hours. I'd get all my chores done early in the morning, get everything done so I don't feel guilty. Isn't that the stupidest thing? But I'd get all my chores done, and then I would just sit with some music playing in the background and enjoy practicing. And I would get frustrated because it wouldn't look like theirs in the magazine. But I wouldn't let it go. I was determined to look at that picture and keep looking at that picture until mine looked like theirs. Did I ever achieve that? Probably not, but I came close. And it was fun trying. It gave me a lot of practice. I wish I had a picture handy right now. No, since I'm off onto a story, let's do this leaf that I did. When you're looking at, now I don't want to get hokey, okay? We're not going to get hokey here, but when you're looking at a picture, or you're looking at a landscape, you're outside, or you're looking at just one flower, make yourself go further. Let your brain go further into that picture, meaning look at the shade. Oh, like for instance on this leaf, we see a light shade right here, we see a dark shadow right here, we see something light here, and then this dark cloudy look here, a light green, a medium green, a light green. You can do that with everything. You can begin to think, now wait a minute, if this is light right here and that's dark, that's making this come forward and the dark is going backward. Oh, okay. So when I did like this vein, I could have gone just straight, but it wouldn't make sense. I curved it in mimicking the curve of the leaf. So you basically digest what you're looking at. You look at it, you stare it down, you think about it, and you think, okay, there's a, let's say you're looking at a flower outside, and you know, that beautiful, I've got a gorgeous salmon color zinnia growing outside, and I've stared it down several times thinking, ooh, I want to mimic that color. Anyway, so give that a little try. So when you're looking at something, really look at it. Really take a moment to look at it and look at the depth and the highlights and the shadows and the shape of it, and then look at it like, well, why does that look so interesting? And then you can go back in the house, try to implement it on a painting surface if you wanted to, or bring it in and look at it and try to mimic it. Now, is it going to look perfect? No. But again, you're practicing, you're learning how to look at something and see the depth, see the reflections, see the shape, see the shades, the many, many shades of color that show up in a lot of things. Okay, shutting up now. All right, so another thing that I did with these grapes was when I was off camera and working up some of the grapes, there was a lot of little spots, like this one right here that was the background showing through. There was quite a few of them through here. And all I did was just take the dark purple and color it in. So if you have any little empty spots similar to this one, see, you start seeing the background here as well as here. If you have any in, let's say in this center area, go ahead and darken those with the dark purple. Now I'm going to leave this one that's showing the background through, and this one, because to me there's a whole lot of grapes right here, and then there's less grapes going out this direction, so it makes sense that you would see gaps and be able to see the background. All right, the stem is basically two colors. It's a light brown and a dark brown, and all I did was take my lighter brush, grab some of the brown, and just make a brown stick is what you're doing, and then go down towards the cluster of grapes, and then come off here with a little foot of one, and then off this direction. Now for this one to go like towards the background, I made this one a little darker. For this one to stand out and be forward, I added a little touch of light brown to it. And then just to give it a little interest up in here, I used a little dark brown toward this side of the stem, and then light on the opposite side. Stems, you can do a lot of work with them. Honestly, like that pumpkin stem, I didn't do much work with it, but I have done pumpkin stems that had little lines and little gaps in it. There's all kinds of things you can do to a stem, but I wanted to keep this as basic as possible. Now, in a stem that's on a cluster of grapes, they are kind of bumpy, so you don't need them to be perfectly straight. You know, they kind of have all those little nodes, little bumps all over them. Okay. Then the leaf, all I did was take the dark green color, sorry, I'm gonna put this palette of paint, close it up so it doesn't dry. There we go. I took the liner brush, the little skinny brush, grabbed that dark green, and remember, I mixed the dark purple and regular green together to get that dark green. So I used the dark green just to start making my outline of what that leaf is supposed to look like. It's similar to, let's see if I've got one here. This is one I printed off my computer. See, that leaf, it's got all those little rough edges and everything. Now, I'm not going to be able to pull that off today. That takes a little bit more time as far as painting it. But I did make it irregular edges. Nothing perfect in shape. Like this leaf, super simple. You know, nice easy leaf, where the grape leaves are a little bit more, well, they fall in line with a fall leaf, an autumn leaf. They have all those different sections and those ridges. Oh, I love fall leaves. Okay, so I did want the leaf overlapping a cluster of the grape, overlapping some of the grapes on the cluster, grabbing my number 3 or 4 round brush. I'm going to work it to where it's work the base of the leaf first. This is being the base area of the dark green. Then go with medium green right in these areas, and then light green. They'll end up being light green on this side, and a little bit over here. So that's the plan. And you want to make sure you have your dancing brush, when we get ready to start blending, make sure your dancing brush is handy and lightly damp. All right, using that number 3 or 4 round brush, I'm gonna grab a little bit of that dark paint and start filling it in. It's just like a coloring book. All you're doing is filling in the little gaps. You want to kind of keep it irregular, similar to what a grape leaf looks like. And I don't know, let's see if this covers up pretty well. I may not have to do a second coat. So let's give it a try. Okay, we're gonna do the dark right about in that center area. We're gonna grab the regular green. We're just gonna do this in sections since it's such a large leaf. So my paint is still wet. I'm grabbing the light green. I'm gonna try to pull it off before this dries, where I just do at least half the leaf. Okay, grabbing your lightly damp blending brush. I'm using this one that's a little bit bigger. We're gonna go from the light to the dark. Tap the light. Working your way down into the dark area, which has already started to dry. So we're gonna add a little bit more to it. Let's give it a little something right here with some light on the edge. Moisten your blending brush. It will help a little bit. It won't quite wake up the dry paint, but it'll help you blend a little bit better. The wet part, that's still wet, let's say that. Okay. Let's go ahead and fill in this area here in the dark color. The bottom, the base of that leaf. Make sure I'm getting all the edges. And because it is on top of that, the grapes, I want to go ahead and highlight ever so slightly the base of this dark area, just because I want that leaf to show up on top of the grapes. So I've got dark on there and light. Before it dries, I'm just going to gently tap it so the two colors kind of marry. And I think I want it a little bit lighter. Grabbing my light green. I'm going to fill that in a little bit more so it shows up a bit better. Keeping all the edges all kind of squirrely looking. Grab a little bit of that dark. I'm just going to touch it right there. Use your dancing brush, your blending brush. Grab some of that light and go towards the dark. Yeah, that's showing up a little bit better. Dampen your blending brush. Touch over that area to break up any perfect lines. darken up this side. Come in here with a little bit of dark at the bottom of that section. Grab the regular green. Grab the light green, apply it to that area. Again, keeping the edges kind of squirrely. There you got a shaky hand, that's perfect. Light to the dark. Tapping and blending. Past that medium green down into the dark green. Let's see if that's going to be light enough for my liking. Not bad. But you know what? Let's just add a little bit more light while that paint is still wet. Grabbing the light color. Going off to that edge just a little bit. Tap on that light color and come towards the middle of that section. A little bit more light. That's a lot, and that's okay. Just need, I don't want this leaf to look super all dark. So grabbing that light, dance it around a little bit, blending. We're going for the cloud look. Everything kind of looking blended together nicely. Sometimes I over blend, so that's why I've got to go back and add a little bit more definition and color. Grabbing that medium green, we're going to fill in this area right through here, heading towards the top of the leaf. Rinse your brush, grab a little bit of that light green, and we're going to fill this one in. You can go outside the line a little bit, that way it covers that line. Just fill all that in with the light green. We'll see if that covers that background good enough. If not, we may have to go over it. Grab your dancing brush. You want to fill it up with the light and go down into the light, medium green area. I'm coming back up just a little bit, just to bring a little bit of that medium green to that area. Now keep in mind, all these areas have dried, right? So where this green is stopping, all this green has already dried, and so is this. But we do the same thing like we've done before on the grapes. With a damp, clean dancing brush, just break that up. Again on that side, with a damp brush, a little bit of water on it, just break it up. Of course, I broke it up a little too much there, which I'm glad I did that, so I can show you. See, I worked it a little too much right there with the damp and just working it with the blending brush. Now the background's starting to bleed up or come through, so we'll cover that in a minute once it dries. It's best not to mess with it at this point. Let's let it dry, and then we'll just go over it. Grab a little bit of that light and a little bit of white just to break up this light green area just a little bit, because that paint is still wet. We can get away with it. Rinse your brush, dry it off, and just tap. Again, we're going for that the shapes of like clouds, just a cloudy look. where dark and light still show through. Is that dry? Yes, it is. All right, that little area there, I am going to take some of my medium green and a little bit of the dark green, using the damp blending brush, just dance it off. Little taps here and there. And it helps me if I pick up my work and look at it and see, okay, am I liking the definitions of what's going on here? Am I getting good coverage? The OIs are not quite like they used to be. Sometimes I have to look a little closer to make sure I'm getting good coverage. And it's not bad. But right through here, it's a little, I'm kind of seeing the background color coming through a little bit. So I'm going to take some of the dark green and tap it, because that area is dry. I'll take that light green, tap right next to it. With my damp blending brush, grab the light, work my way into the dark. That covers up that background a little bit more. Now I've got this problem, so I rinse my brush, I make sure it's damp, and I just move that area and break it up a little bit. Oh, I kind of like that. All right. That's not too shabby. So you got your dark, you got a medium here, you got a light here, light shining, kind of coming up here as far as the color, and dark here. And what I'll probably do is go back with my dark purple and shade this area really well on that grape, and shade this area with the dark purple, probably over here as well. Might even add a little bit more light right there, so that stands out a little bit better. All I do is tap that around a little bit. Now with my damp brush, I'm just going to move it just ever so slightly so I don't lose that light section of the leaf. That's what it's about. You work it until you're happy with it. The funniest thing will happen to you, though, once you get where you have the confidence of working up different things and you don't need my videos anymore, you can end up giving, let's say, some beautiful piece that you've done and you're so proud of it and you give it away. Two things here on that point. One, some people are just not going to react to your awesome painting like you think they're going to react. So don't get your feelings hurt. That's just life. You know how people are. Maybe they've had a hard day that day. Maybe they've got something else on their mind and they're not willing to share that information. And they're trying to be cordial or nice or gracious. But so keeping that in mind, people don't always receive things that you think, obviously, in your artwork is, you really worked hard at it. So you are kind of hoping for some kind of reaction, right? Yeah, that can be a little disappointing. The other thing is once you get really good at what and you're enjoying it, you're going to take it at different levels. You're going to stop in areas that you know that I'd just keep going. Or you're going to go further where I have stopped. And that's great. And again, like I said on a previous video, you're going to find your style of painting. It doesn't have to be like mine at all. All I'm doing is giving you some basics to run with. And once you practice, your style will start showing up. That you like lighter colors than going with all these contrast colors. you like working with more of a watercolor base than heavy acrylic painting. You might even get off into the oil paintings, which is great. That's where I started. Okay, so taking that light color, we're going to add some veins. So we're going to water that light green down a whole lot. And this is the first initial part of the vein. We're going to lighten that light green. Add a little bit more water because this has got to be the consistency of Jello. There we go, or ink. All right, taking your liner brush, and if I'm not mistaken, usually, yeah, everything is running from the base here, and there's a lot of veins on this type of leaf, but it starts here and works its way up, and then, but you think of a tree when you're doing veins on a leaf. You got your main vein, or your tree trunk, and then you have all those limbs coming off. And in this case, that's kind of the way it works. So I'm going to, again, load my liner brush. When I'm doing a vein or something very small, load your brush and then twirl it off. Load your brush, yeah, and twirl it off so you get that point again. Now this leaf here is, I see it kind of moving just a little bit to the left. Well, it'd be nice if it showed up. There we go. And where it really shouldn't be a light color, like through here, I'll come back through and darken that vein just a little bit. Let's see. Yeah. And then when we add a shadow part of the vein up through here, it'll show up even more. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. All right. So coming from this is the base. We run that vein up that direction coming from that base. Same thing here from the base. Then we have coming from the vein, we have these other little small ones coming off. Squirrely little lines. And if you notice, I always go back to the main vein before you branch out. Just barely touch it and then branch out. That way you don't get the little nub of paint on the opposite side of that vein. This is a good time to turn your work. That way you can get those little sections of veins in there right. Just squirrely little lines. Again, grab some paint, twirl your brush to get that point back again. Coming from this vein here, just barely going to touch it. Now that's a little deep. A little thick there, we'll fix it. No problem. Coming from that main vein, squirrely little line there. They don't always have to go all the way out to the edge. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Yeah, I'm not real happy with those. That I'm gonna have to, when I bring in the shadow, I'll overlap just a little bit with the shadow, and that way it will make those veins look a little bit smaller. And that one doesn't need to be there at all. So we're gonna move that one off. I'm gonna dampen my brush and see if I can't do a little erasing. I know it's dry, but sometimes it'll move. Yep, see? A little bit of water. Okay, now water down your dark green color. Pull some out here to the side. Grab myself some water. Nice and wet. Again, that dark green was made with using the dark purple and the regular green. My liner brush is damp, no drips on it. Grab some paint and twirl. Gonna come out here to the edge. Just to give it a little something. See if I can make those a little bit smaller by overlapping the shadow. So if the shadow area kind of covers up some of it, I am happy with that. Add a little bit more right here. If I'm not mistaken, using that little light green veining watered down paint we were using, there's like a little bit of a circle right there where they all come out from. So just a little bit of paint, dab that little area. All right, you can take now a little bit of the pure white, water it down a little bit, use your liner brush, twirl it off. When you fill up your liner brush with paint, then twirl it off. And we will highlight just a couple of those veins. As I always say, just to give it a little something. Yeah, my liner brush is starting to split. In other words, the hairs want to start splitting instead of staying at a nice point. That happens sometimes. If you've overused it maybe, or I stored it wrong, I'll grab this other one. Let's take a look. All right, taking a little bit of that shadow color of the vein shadow color, the dark. I'm gonna tone this down just a smidge. Tone that down just a smidge. Okay. Now, of course, I like the contrast. I like the contrast in the green and the dark green. And actually, you know, where they do those twirly little lines, you could come in here and water down your brown with a little bit of white in it, and water it down fairly well. Use your liner brush and you could do one of those twirly lines. Only reason I'm not going to do it is because I've got so much line work on here already, all this vein work, and to add one more, I just don't see it. But I do need to add a stem, would come in handy because that leaf is just kind of floating out there. So the stems are usually a light brown, a brownish green. What did I do with my brown? All right, a little bit of my brown. Grabbing a little bit of the green. I had a little bit of water in my brush. Coming from the stem. Just make a little connection there. Now we'll take just the brown and go over that, just a smidge of that stem and then the leaf stem. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna take a little break. Gotta let the dog out, and we're gonna come back and decide what lettering we're gonna put up there. Something needs to be up there. I do like how sweet it is, but we'll be back. Hopefully we'll make that decision.